I was always super healthy. My life was really just a journey of healing and health. I was studying acupuncture, yoga. I was a super good eater, mostly vegetarian, probably 40% raw. But I had gone through a lot of stress. I moved, was in a very bad marriage. My mom died. That was probably the hardest part. And she died of cancer. So pretty much the whole foundation was shaken. But I, have always had this real positive. So I just kept doing yoga and riding my bike. And I thought everything was fine. But I did know that there was something wrong with me physically because I would get headaches and just kind of feel a little nauseous. So I went to a doctor 3 times over the course of a year, and each time he gave me a different test. He said, "Oh, you're fine." So the 3rd time, I told him I have a lot of pain, and there's like a stabbing pain in this area. And so it was bottom of my colon at the junction of the rectum. So he did a sigmoidoscopy, and there it was. And they thought it was stage 2 or 3 at first, and then, of course, the first thing they do is they send you to a PET scan. And then the PET scan showed that it was in a few places, and it was in my liver also. So it was stage 4, and that was a shock. I had never heard of anyone living from stage 4.
That's when you start to see all kinds of magical things start to appear in the person's life.
When the doctors gave you the diagnosis and the prognosis, were they trying to rush you into chemo and radiation?
Yes, and I wasn't going to do it because I always swore with the acupuncture background that I believe in natural medicine and natural healing. So I wasn't going to do it. I was going to go to, any of the places that do the natural healing with the juices and things. But I have a brother that's a rocket scientist, and I value his opinion. And he said, "Lizzie, you're not going to make it. You've been juicing all your life. More juice isn't going to save your life. You've got stage 4. You've got to do something." So, but it still took me another month and a half because I wouldn't do it. I was going to not do the chemo. And so finally, enough people gathered me up and brought me in. So I did it. And then I started doing a lot of spiritual healing. My friends did a fundraiser that went kind of fast and wild because people were like, "Oh my gosh, if Elizabeth Craig has got cancer, we're all gonna die." So they raised some money for me. So I started doing, going to all the alternative healers I could find because I thought, if nothing else, maybe I can just chronologue the whole thing and share it with people, and then people will learn from that. Deanne Portia was one of the people I called, and she's a spiritual psychologist.
Healing, Tanga.
Originally, the primary purpose for calling her was so that I could die not afraid, because I was afraid to die. And they said that wasn't looking good.
This guy's fear, panic, worry, and anxiety,
But through the process, instead of that happening, I started to feel miracles.
The first session that we had together was actually the day that she got her chest port put in. And I didn't know that she was going to arrive with that. And that was such a tremendous first step that she had to take in her cancer treatment.
They've got me on a cocktail, they call it. I had one mitomycin that was a little bag, and they ran it into the port, and then they attached me to this one.
It's so stressful to think that, someone is invading your body and then having medicine, which we know is very scary. So she had to make friends with that.
And some people get the port in their arm, their upper arm, and other people just kept working with me and saying, "This is medicine. It's going to heal you. This is good for you." And I think that made all the difference in the world.
We have to relate to it as something that is targeted medicine. See it as little Pac-Mans or little soldiers that are there just attacking the cancer cells, leaving everything else intact and not being harmed, because the body does want to move into balance.
Let's go.
I started calling him, because he was my little chemo pack, I called him Chemo Sabe.
Chemo Sabe, all right.
Deanne helped me change my attitude that he was medicine and not, poison. I was going twice a week to visit Deanne. My brother would drive me up. and do the sessions. And the funny thing is every time, well, after the first few, no, actually, I'd say every one of them, I would think, I have no idea what I'm going to say. I don't feel like anything's wrong. I don't know. You know, okay, we'll just talk. And then somehow she would do like an exercise or a thing, and then something would come out, extracted from some place in the past that I never, you know, like talk therapy wouldn't get to this or your own thinking or whatever. I lovingly forgive and release all of the past. I choose to fill my world with joy. I love and approve of myself. Working with Deanne, we started working on like all those feelings, the grief, the sadness, the fear of the cancer, and then things that were deep down inside that I had no idea were residing, like old stuff that I really didn't even think of.
And why is that you?
She kind of takes what everybody gives her, and she doesn't really ask for much, and she's going to get better.
Elizabeth identified a time in her life when she felt really pathetic. There was an incident where she, you know, all the kids were supposed to bring something to school, and she brought graham crackers. That's all she had to bring, and they made fun of her. So she just kind of adopted this belief that that was pathetic, how pathetic that was. And she carried that with her for a lot of years. I mean, into adulthood without even understanding or realizing how that pathetic self-image would carry forward in relationships and in adult life. Ask for Spirit's assistance and go for the deepest healing. The healing tools can involve inner child healing work, sacred anger work.
Yeah, I've got it right now. Boy, am I mad right now. I'm mad.
So the sacred anger work, when that comes up and there's anger in a session that's ready to move, we will go out on the back hillside and we throw rocks. And to throw these rocks as hard as I can and move that stuck energy.
I didn't know that I had such a detrimental mindset. I thought that it was a pretty good one. But the cancer personality style, the I don't want to be a burden, it's easier for me to give love than to ask for it. It was really important for me to learn how to ask for help and to connect. Toward the end of the treatment, I was really weak. So Deanne called and she said, "Do you want to have your session?" And I said, "I don't think I can make it. I can't really get up." I was just laying down a lot. I couldn't really get up. And so she came to visit me to give me a session. And when she got there, I was just shaking. So she said, "I think you're running a fever." She gave me the thermometer and it was 103.5. So she said, "We need to take you to the hospital." So she drove me to the hospital and it was going up as we're driving. I got to the emergency room and they started giving antibiotic bags one after another and nothing was working. I just remember I could hear my heartbeat. It was like I could hear water and air. Really loud. The fever kept going up and I kind of thought, I wonder if this is it. When I woke up, my brother was standing outside the glass door with the laptop and he was telling me, "They're praying for you." They did a group prayer on Facebook with over 100 people, and right after that, I kind of came out. It's really good. I had no idea what was coming, you know. I was just trying to prepare myself for whatever answer they gave me. And Deanne took me into the appointment, and the oncologist said, "Well, your scans came back all clear."
No cancer!
And I just started crying and laughing at the same time, and he said, "Yeah, we must have misdiagnosed you."
What?
Yeah, well, I think because he didn't think it could be resolved so quickly.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
The regimen always was with everyone. They said it'll be a 2-year thing. It'll be chemo first, then chemoradiation, then surgery, then more chemo, and that would take 2 years. And mine was gone in one round.
Where did we do it last time? We did it at Resolution.
And even my oncologist, who I thought was the best of the that I could find, they'd say, "Wow, it's amazing. All of your hair hasn't come out. What are you doing? You look really good. Your numbers are good and stuff." And I said, "I'm doing wheatgrass." And he'd go, "Oh, okay, well, whatever." And I said, "Do you not believe in wheatgrass?" And he said, "No, but if it makes you feel better." They gave me 2 different types, and with the one, my hair would have come out completely. But with the 2, yeah, for sure, it was a goner. And it never all came out. I still had a good 2/3 of it at the end.
Love and all the time in the world to enjoy it.
The best part for me was that I was supported by friends and family, and that I had a spiritual therapist that really helped me work through all of this stuff and get rid of the fear and the old hurts and wounds, and then allow me to return to a really high state of healing.
If you perceive that people are coming to help you and hold you and help you through this process, and you feel this outpouring of love, they are actually helping your body heal. Because as soon as you perceive that, as soon as you believe that people are sending you love, you have this oxytocin response. And oxytocin release has been associated with increased natural killer cells, increased white cells. The immune response just goes through the roof.
It's really important to work with doctors that treat you as a whole person and surround yourself with friends that inspire hope and strengthen you rather than add to your fear. It's hard though, because when I'm sick or in pain, I feel vulnerable and just want to crawl up in a ball and be alone. So how do we break out of that downward spiral of fear? How do we transcend the pain and shift to a positive mindset?